Hi everybody, and welcome to the Real Estate Huddle. I'm Dave Crete, your real estate broker and football coach, and this is for the week of September 6, 2021. This week we're going to give you a little update on what's happened in the real estate market. We've hit some strange anomalies, it seems, for the last few weeks, and what we've seen is continuing, and talk about just a couple other little things, and hopefully provide you a little bit of information that's useful when you're looking to buy and sell, and also so you can understand the real estate market a little bit and what's going on. I've been a real estate broker and realtor in Las Vegas for 20 years, 16 of it actually as a broker. My wife and I opened up our first brokerage in 2005. So we've got a little bit of insight with what goes on in the market. We've seen every market that Vegas has thrown at anybody for the last 2 decades. And with my background in my education being in business, with my emphasis being in stats and economics, I'm truly a stats geek, and I really watch the way things impact our market and try to look at what's going on today and how is that going to impact us in the future through our product life cycle, if you will, through the economic cycles that we go through, because everything that's economic has a cycle. There's always ups and downs. The one thing that is constant is that it's never constant. And there's always changes going on, and some are expected, and some are a bit more surprising. My entry into real estate was just before, a few months before, September 11th of 2001. And right now I'm wearing my Support the Thin Blue Line shirt, which I do because first I started out as an Air Force cop back in the 80s, and now I actually have a son and a daughter, both that's on Las Vegas Metro Police Department, both serving as police officers. One's a little newer, she's just about to her first year point in a couple of months here, and my son has been on the department about 5.5 years, so real proud of them as we are of all of our kids. But with September 11th coming up this weekend, and all that goes on with that, just trying to show a little extra support for those folks out there doing that job. Our first responders are important. Anyways, back to the Real Estate Huddle. So I'm Coach Crete, and I have been, like I say, in real estate for 20 years. Our real estate brokerage is Aspire Realty Group. We're in Northwest Las Vegas, and our team is the Coach Crete's home team, where we like to tell people we have the game plan for your real estate success. So what we've seen in the market over the last month has really been associated with the news cycle of what's gone on in Afghanistan, and it's really, I think, kind of paralyzed people a little bit, because this time of year, the trend that we've seen for the last 4 weeks, if you will, going back to about the 14th of August, is completely abnormal to anything that we've seen over my stats that I've been tracking. And that is, I've been watching stats for a long time, but in 2005 I started a spreadsheet. I talk about the spreadsheet all the time, and I track certain indicators every single Monday morning. I do all my stats by 8 in the morning, so I'm very consistent, and I update it, and I've created graphs and charts, and I can go in and see what typically happens at this time of year every year. Is there something going on that's not normal? Is it something that's going on that doesn't track the same way we've seen for several years? And because of the stats that I use, we're able to really pick up changes very, very quickly. And the middle of last month, what I started looking at was, hey, this time of year, we are seeing an increase in inventory, a steady sales, maybe a little bit of a decrease as we go into the fall. Kids are back to school. People get a little bit more sedentary in the fall. The holidays are coming. Usually the time of year that we see some growth in our inventory numbers, because our real sales time of year starts in mid to late January and goes through mid-July. That's not closings, but what I'm looking at is properties that are going into escrow, where a contract's been accepted and it's not yet closed. And that's really what I'm worried about. That's kind of a little bit more of a leading type thing. And I do ratios and things to see, all right, how many months of inventory does that provide us? If we stop taking listings today, theoretically, how long would it take for us to run out of inventory based off of certain factors? So I track all these things, and I know that in the fall, once we get into late third quarter and fourth quarter, we're going to see some slowdown. We're going to see some growth in inventory. We'll see a little bit of a drop off on our sales numbers right up to about November 15th. Then we'll also see a little bit of a drop in our inventory numbers because fewer people list around the holidays. All those things are normal. Then we hit Afghanistan, and I think Afghanistan and all that's gone on with the end of the war there and how we got out, and I don't care what you think about it one way or the other. I mean, I'm a military vet. I'm pretty proud American. I've got pretty strong opinions. But regardless of what anybody's opinion is, it has an impact. Some things are good, some things are bad. And this has been where we've seen a significant drop in inventory, about 25% in a matter of a few weeks, which is a lot. And we're seeing a corresponding drop in sales numbers. Now, the sales numbers drops, I think, are two reasons. One, I think the news cycle has impacted it. And number two, I think it really has a lot to do with the fact that with the shortage of inventory, you know, if there's not enough, I use the analogy of if you own a car lot and you're selling cars and there's no cars in the lot, your sales numbers are going to suck. Well, we're kind of seeing the same thing here. We don't have a normal supply of inventory. Therefore, there's not as many homes to sell. So there's not going to be as many open escrows. And that's impacting us. But I think that it really boils down to the news cycle. And yesterday morning we had our sales meeting with all of our agents and staff, and the conversation there was, yeah, it's about Afghanistan, but it's really about just all the different things that are going on. There's COVID, and there's so many different stresses right now that are out there that are causing people concern or causing people worry. It's kind of a national anxiety, if you will, and I think that's really what's dragging down the market. My hope is that after we got past the August 31st deadline that was going on in Afghanistan, and you know, kids now are back in school, and being a big fan of high school football games have started up again, and I know the high schools that I all coached at here in town, they've had their second game now. So life for the kids are getting back to normal. Parents are going out there and seeing, you know, their kids playing ball or whatever sport it is, or cheerlead, or just doing what they normally do this time of year. And in fact, we saw the same thing this weekend watching college football games where there's stadiums packed around the country. And I think that normalcy is going to start to help people to get rid of some of that anxiety and get their mind off all the negative things that they see on our 24-hour news cycle. So I'm hoping that brings us a little bit of relief. Only time will tell, but it's definitely, the stresses that are out there have definitely impacted the market. Now, that said, one of the things I just want to talk about real briefly that we know is always an issue, I'm a real estate broker. I support my family by helping people buy and sell or lease or manage their investment properties. That's how I support my family and support the activities that we like to do. And there's a couple things we all always know to be true. Every time somebody buys a house, they're going to go through buyer's remorse. It's normal. You know, if you don't wake up in a cold sweat 2 or 3 days after you've signed a contract and you've opened escrow and go, oh my God, what have I done? That's almost abnormal. The other thing that's normal is, you know, I do this full time for 20 years, and somehow, you know, the aunt and the uncle or the boss or the neighbor or mom and dad or, you know, the you know, kind of know-it-all sibling, whatever, everybody is a real estate expert, and the real estate broker that you hired, he's not the expert, he's the idiot. And we always have to contend with that. Here's what I want to tell you. We've got some videos on our YouTube page about, you know, 5 steps to take to help you get ready to buy. Another video is coming up about the actual timelines, about what goes on to help educate you on the process you're going to get into. But I'm telling you, find a great agent. You know, hopefully it's me. If you're listening to this somewhere else, find a great agent where you're at and listen to them and do your own research and know that, you know, Aunt Barbara that bought a house 6 years ago somewhere else, she's not an expert on how to buy and sell a house in Las Vegas. Just if she lives in St. Augustine, Florida, I'm not an expert on how to buy or sell a house there either. So Everybody's concerned. Everybody wants to help you out. First-time home buyers, I'm dealing with one right now. We know as professionals it's overwhelming. You're going to feel overwhelmed. Kind of filter out a lot of the noise. Do your own research. Ask your agent lots and lots of questions. You're going to have questions. You're going to cause yourself stress by not asking. And if you go out and you talk to friends and family, you ask 10 different people the same question, the likelihood is you're going to get 10 different answers, because they're not going to know your financial position. They're not going to know the loan that you're trying to qualify for. They're not going to know exactly what your closing costs are based off their past experience, because maybe a seller contributed or a new home builder contributed, or whatever. There's always differences. I tell people I can write a contract that has an offer price of $500,000 on a house, and I can write it 100 different ways. That means 100 different things for buyers and sellers. So just because the bottom line on something is the way it is, the contract really needs to be tailored to you, your specific situation, your specific wants and needs, your specific goals. So make sure you have a great conversation with your agent. Filter out that extra noise. Everybody's there to help you out. Everybody's offering advice because they care and they're concerned, and they want to see you be successful. And that's really what we're here for, is to make sure that you're successful. We can't eliminate all the stress, but we can do a great job at minimizing as much as we can to make the process as easy for you as possible, as stress-free as possible, as streamlined as possible, to help you get through this. So I hope you find this episode useful. This week is September 11th, the 20th anniversary of September 11th. I hope you're like me and support our first responders. Go celebrate, pay tribute, honor those that have done so much, both on September 11th and those that we lost, and all of our military and everybody else that's been fighting the fight for us to keep us free for the last 20 years. And lastly, I just want to point out one of our sponsors, a restaurant that I reviewed on here before, Mezzo's Italian Bistro up at Rancho and Craig Road in Northwest Las Vegas, is a great meal, a great restaurant, great service, great wine list. And if you hit us up, we'll send you a $20 gift card just for sending me your name, address, email address. I'll mail it over to you right away. You can go out, give their restaurant a try, tell them Coach Crete sent you, and we'll give you $20 off your next meal. Appreciate it. Look forward to speaking to you again. We'll talk to you next week with next week's update on the Real Estate Huddle. Have a good one, everyone.